First of all, what are Fabric notebooks? Fabric notebooks are the primary code interface where we develop Apache Spark jobs and machine learning experiments for data engineering and data science. Now, why do we need Spark jobs? Spark is used for distributed computing or distributed processing. So if you're working with big data, huge volumes of data, and you want to process the data in a distributed manner, we use Apache Spark. Now, what are the advantages of Spark? The first advantage is its speed because Spark processes data in memory. The second advantage is its scalability. We can scale our Spark jobs to any number of nodes. The next advantage is its multi-language support. Spark supports Python, SQL, Scala, Java, and R. And then it is a unified engine. We can process batch loads, we can process streaming loads, machine learning loads, SQL, everything inside a single Fabric notebook. And then finally, it works or it integrates closely with Delta Lake, which is the native format in the Lakehouse. Now let's look at how to create a notebook in Fabric and look at the different options Fabric gives us inside a notebook. So now I'm on the Fabric landing page. I'm going to my workspace. Inside the workspace, I'm clicking on new item, looking for a notebook. Click this. Okay, so this is the interface for a notebook. Here we could change the name of the notebook. This is the location where the notebook is. We have different options. First, look at the tabs: Home, Edit, AI Tools, Run, View. Now coming to the main code area, this is called a cell inside a notebook. Here's where we write the code, and the language of support for this code is PySpark, Spark Scala, Spark SQL, Spark R, and then Python and T-SQL. All these languages are supported. Now if you look at the bottom of the cell, you could change the cell language here. Let's say if I want Spark SQL, I click here, you could see a small percentage SQL. That is called as the magic command. Whenever you want to change the language of a cell, just write percent PySpark. Let's say now it will be converted to PySpark. Percentage SQL. It will be converted to SQL. Okay. By default, it will be PySpark. And then to add a cell, either we could add code cell or a markdown cell. Markdown cell is just to give some headings or subheadings to our code. Heading 1, heading 2, heading 10, so on. You could bold it, you could get italics, underline, and so on. All these options are here. You could move the cells up and down. You could convert this cell to markdown cell just by clicking this, and convert back to code cell by clicking this. The shortcut to add a code cell is B. The code cell will be added below the existing cell. And then coming here to the left pane, we have two tabs: data items and resources. Resources are, we can add any resource like a PDF or a Python file or a secrets or whatever. We can add it here, and then we can add the data source or data items here. Now let's write a code cell: print hello world, shift enter, execute the cell. You could see it got executed. How did it get executed? It is executed because of something called this session. Session is the compute required to run any Spark notebook. This is the session information. By default, every session runs for 20 minutes. If you keep the session idle for 20 minutes, it will get expired. You may need to run the session again. But the important concept of a session is we did not configure any nodes for our Spark session. Everything is managed by Fabric. So if you go to workspace, DP-700 prep, and go to workspace settings, data engineering or data science, go here and click on Spark settings. This is the most important area where you get the information about this session. Okay, by default, every workspace is provided with a starter pool. Starter pool is a pool of resources or nodes, we call it. They are medium-sized nodes, and every workspace is given 10 number of nodes. Now, this is the reason why we could run all notebooks inside this workspace. It's only because of the starter pool, which is provided by default by Fabric. Now, these starter pools are provided in every workspace by default, If you go to Microsoft Learn and look for starter pools, you could see starter pools have Spark clusters that are always on and ready for your requests. They use medium-sized nodes and can be scaled up based on your workload requirements. And then you could see these are the different node size options. By default, in a starter pool, we have medium nodes. We cannot change these. Medium nodes is 8 compute units and 64 GB RAM. Then we have small nodes, large nodes, and Excel nodes. So if you want to create a custom pool, you could create a custom pool by using this option. You could give a pool name, node family, could select the type of node, small, medium, large. For trial purposes, we have only these three options, small, medium, and large. And we could scale it. And then we have this option to dynamically allocate executors. All these different options are given if you want a custom pool. But by default, we need not worry about those settings, and every workspace is given this starter pool, and that's why we could run this session just with 3 to 5 seconds of starting time. Now coming to the environment is just like a virtual environment in a developing space. We'll talk about it in detail in a separate video. Okay, so this is the overall overview of a notebook in Fabric. In the next video, we'll write some PySpark code in these notebooks to transform the data. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching.